What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk Punch. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, whether you're watching us here on YouTube or listening in on the audio podcast, make sure you go ahead and subscribe and then come back here every Wednesday to see what we're talking about. Kind of like this week's topic, we are giving our top 3 movies you should not watch on a date. So, I am Brody.
I'm Charlie.
I'm Too Dong Dylan.
All right. So, this is going to be a good one. This is going to be, it's a top 3, but it's going to be a little more personal. It's going to be a little more stories because obviously all of this depends on the people that are watching it. But from experience, these are some movies probably not the best movies to watch on a date.
This time it's personal.
Charlie, how did you build your list? Was this just based on personal experience?
So I took 3 broad categories and picked a real life experience I had with each of the movie categories that I would caution the date and the datee, the dated from seeing together. Proceed with caution. And number 1, it just might blow your mind.
All right, Tudong, how did you put this together?
I put it together rather similarly. I took from past experience and also what exact kind of vibe I am trying to give or not to give.
All right, there you go. And
I did ask my what. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, I did ask my wife, as soon as we picked this topic, I was like, okay, what are the worst movies that you and I have watched together? And we kind of just sat there, and we try to think, like, okay, have we been to the movie? Because we used to do these movie dates with Dylan. So it was like the 3 of us. So those didn't really count, and then we take the kids out or whatever, and those didn't really count. And we're like trying to think of have we ever watched a movie on like Netflix or something from start to finish that was just truly terrible? And we just couldn't think. So these are all a little bit older for me because it was from an era when I was going to the theater. Because she also hates the theater, bless her soul. But if you don't at this point in our lives, if you don't like the movie, just turn it off, right? Like it's once you're married, it's just, you're watching a movie. There's no should we keep going?
It could always get better.
So I got some old stories to tell you.
They could always get better. It's funny that you mentioned you went to Amy, because I went to Amy and I said, now what are some of the worst movies that I have shown you? And
that's the key.
and she immediately listed off a whole bunch, and I was like, okay, so, and then I had to
slow down. I gotta write all these down.
yeah. So that's kind of how I built my list. All right, well.
So you guys are just picking boring movies? Is that what you guys did? You know that boring movies, that gives you the opportunity to do other things.
No, they're not. Mine are not boring movies.
No.
Mine were movies that I liked that I wanted to. 2 of them were with Amy. One of them was with
someone else,
date.
And who that was might shock you.
I could say for a fact that these are ones that the viewers should not show, at least on a first date, or maybe, when you're getting to know them, kind of a date. These are that's how I kind of judge. These right here, these don't show these until you've married them or something. Or at least gotten into a serious relationship. Not just when they're getting to know you. You talk about the wrong vibe. And trust me, some of these, that's exactly what I did. And it was the wrong vibe.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on.
Can't wait.
Yeah, this will be a fun list. Honestly, I don't remember who's going first. I forgot to check. So we will just see whose this is. Oh, this one's mine. So So this one, longtime viewers of the channel will know that this was my go-to movie for any date back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Whenever I was on a date, it was, have you ever seen this movie Event Horizon? No. Oh, we're going to watch it. You know, because what's better than a ship that goes through a black hole, goes to hell for 7 years, and comes back and kills a bunch of people? So this, not a great one. This was one of the ones that when I asked Amy, this was the first one she said. And I was like, it's not that bad. Come on. I still like this movie. Probably not a good date movie, though. So, you know, I don't need to spend too long on it because I've talked about this movie a couple times already. But that's my number 3. And that's why it's number 3, because I've already talked about it. Event Horizon. Great movie. Not a good date movie. All right. Moving on. It's Tudong.
Hey, that's me, yeah. I'm also going to be brief because I have also talked about this movie as well. I put this on the list because this actually is what my wife said to me, even though I didn't show it to her the first, you know, when we were dating. I showed it to her well later on. And she was just like, that I'm glad you didn't show it to me a lot earlier. And what I always think is kind of funny, the tone that I don't want to set, is if, for those of you actually seen this movie, the very beginning, I always love this. Is when the first time I saw this movie, I was just like, because the first thing that happens, Linda disappears and Ash goes and he's like, Linda, like, where are you? Nothing is supernatural has happened as far as he knows. He goes outside and he's like, Linda, hey, where are you? His girlfriend. And she just kind of jumps up and she's like, Wah! But she doesn't actually do anything. He falls over and he doesn't, hey, are you all right? Are you joking or something? He forgets all that stuff, picks up a shovel, and lops off her head. It's the wrong vibe. You should have tolerance. Maybe she's sick. Maybe she stubbed her foot. Maybe it's a practical joke. Don't chop off her head first reaction. So, I mean, that's why. And the wife said,
hey, that is good first date advice. Don't chop off her head.
You know, Tudong, I thought about putting this on my list because I showed this to Amy when we were dating. I love this movie. When it got to the scene where the corpse is dancing outside the cabin, that's when my Amy was like, I'm done. I'm good. I've seen enough.
You've seen enough? Oh no, I was like, keep going. As soon as I saw Ash, like, how about we have some champagne? I was just like, I love it. I am hooked. When he's trying to drive away, oh no, I absolutely love it, and I still absolutely I love the whole thing.
Oh man, it's great. No, I love this movie. Not for my wife though. All right, Charlie, you look to be frozen. Are we able to hear you though?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hear me? I can still hear you. Hey, at least you got frozen on a great smile. All right.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
Moving on to Charlie's number 3.
My category for number 3 is scary movies.
That's good.
Be careful if you're picking a scary movie for you and your partner, that it's the right kind of movie, and make sure you talk to them about what kind of things truly scare them. I took a date to see this in the theaters, even though we're both a little too young, I think, to see it. And she was terrified to the point where we weren't able to finish the movie in the theater.
Oh no!
And look, I had, especially when I was younger, I had an obsessive need to stay to the end of films, especially in a theater. If I paid money for a movie, I don't care. I'm going down with the ship. I'm gonna watch it from stern to, I don't know. Anyway, I don't remember the Stamen, John Stamos. No. Anyway, so I'm like trying stern? To like no, it's stem to stern. That's the term. Stern? Yeah, that sounds right. It's now to anus. So I'm trying to convince her, like, hey, no, it's not so bad. Like, it's okay. We can stay. And we ended up having to leave about halfway through or so. So it was years before I knew like who the killers were or like how it ended. It was just like, it was a really odd movie experience. And then look, in retrospect, I mean, just look at this cover. Like all these terrified women. What a horrible, like, just, not necessarily a good date movie, and I can absolutely understand why she wasn't into it. And nothing against the movie, but not, know your partner before you pick a scary movie, because you might have to leave halfway through, and it'll be years before you realize what happened.
There you go. It's interesting. We all picked scary movies for our number 3.
I can't wait to see your number 2s.
And like we said, this doesn't apply to everybody. There are some people that love the scary movies, and to them, all of these movies are like, no, that's nothing.
That's scary.
That's nothing.
Know your partner. Know your partner.
Exactly. All right, moving on to number 2. I got a doozy, fellas. I got a doozy of a number 2.
You got a big old doozy of a number 2.
Big old doozy.
All right. Let's see it.
Ooh,
Mulholland Drive.
That is a doozy.
You know what's a bad movie to show on a date? Now I don't think I saw this ahead of time. I was just like, oh, it's a David Lynch movie. Sure, it'll be weird, but it'll be cool,
It'd be cool. Well,
and then I showed it to a date. This was not my wife. This was, I don't even remember who. But this movie's like weird. It gets weird. There's a lot of like intimate scenes. There's all sorts of stuff. It's full David Lynch. It just, man, I just remember that like I finished watching it and I was like, throughout the movie, the girl was like, really? And then we finished the movie and she said like something like, why did you show me this? And
wow.
And as I was building this list, I kind of went through my flick chart just to like try to be reminded, and I saw this and I was like, oh yeah, this is on my list, because this was not a good movie to watch on a date. It was a horrible movie to watch on a date. Don't watch this on a date. Don't watch it. So
I agree. Any David Lynch on a date. I mean, are you kidding, bro? Are you kidding?
It was a David Lynch. I was like, oh, it'll be fun.
see, but no, it was like you were testing. You were testing her, and she didn't pass the test, which is why she's not your wife. You're like, how will she respond to Mulholland Drive on the first date?
Yeah, this is a weird one. This is a weird.
That's
one.
not even a test. That's like you just scaring her off. You show her your eraser while you're at it.
This is the like. This is the like. I don't want to continue on with this relationship, so let's sit and watch a movie.
It's a good movie. I will defend this movie. This is a good film.
It's a good film.
It's confusing upon first watch if you're not paying close attention.
And it's full of adult content.
If you're not paying close attention, I've had to read papers about this. I've read books. I'm like,
see, because you never pay attention.
I pay attention. What'd you say?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Oh,
so there's my number 2. David Lynch's Mulholland Drive. All right, Tudong.
Mine number 2.
oh no! Oh, gosh.
I don't know what it is, but I.
Oh no!
Now this is for. See, there's 2 different things you could do. You could give the wrong impression of yourself, and then you can give bad ideas to people who could be just waiting for that one thing to break and be like, you know what? I am going to torture and kill you. And I'm like, wait, that is not, I put on the Muppets or something. Well, how'd you come up with that? And I don't want to lead anybody in that direction. Now, if anybody has or has not seen the very, very scary movie Audition,
I've never seen it.
It starts off like a romantic comedy. It's in Japanese, takes place in Japan, and there's a guy and his son is like, hey, you should, mom passed away so long ago. You should find a girlfriend or something. And so he decides, hey, I'm in the movie business, or my friend is. We'll have a movie, we'll hold auditions. And you think to yourself, what could possibly go wrong? Horrible things could go wrong. This is a bad thing for a date because you don't want to give the wrong impression. You don't want to influence them to brutally torture and kill you. So that is why it is my number 2, because I mean, it's hard to make somebody else turn into a killer, but it's very easy to convince people that you're a killer. I'm thinking about my safety as well as yours, folks.
This is such an interesting movie to watch with someone who's never seen it, because you can tell them ahead of time, oh, this is terrifying, it's horrifying, it's graphic. It's just don't watch it. And then you start it, and they'll be like, "What are you talking about?"
This wacky movie.
You know, and they're just, oh, this is scary, you know. And then it happens, and when it happens, there's no turning back, and it happens, and it's like, oh gosh, it's like it's like eating something spicy with like a really spicy aftertaste. So you take a few bites, and you're like, what? This is it, and then all of a sudden it's like, and there's steam coming out the ears, and show a date this movie. Don't listen to Dylan. This is a great date movie.
That's
just know your partner.
That's okay.
Know your partner.
Yeah, I've never seen this. I don't know if I want to.
Well, now you should, sir.
Oh, you gotta watch it, bro. You gotta experience it. It'll terrify you, but you gotta experience it.
That's okay. That's okay. All right. What are the things going across the poster? Are those just veins?
No, those are cords, bro. Those are cords.
Okay.
Razor sharp cords, but not too razor sharp, I guess. But they're sharp enough to sooner or later do damage. It's. Hey, at least they aren't showing needles.
You don't want to know, bro. You don't want to know.
Okay. All right. Then moving on to Charlie's number 2.
Number 2.
All right. All right. So
quite the change. Great segue.
Is it though? Is it? So my second category here is comedy. And when you're seeing a movie with your significant other, or especially on a first date early on in the relationship, and you're saying, okay, let's go see a comedy. It's got to be harmless. You should make sure that your senses of humor are compatible. So this movie came to mind because I've been on both sides of this. Movies where I thought were hilarious, and the person I was with thought, oh my gosh, this is so stupid. In this particular instance, I saw this with someone who I was dating who was a little bit loud and a little, I know, I'm saying this. Was a little bit loud, a little bit overly energetic, and I did not like Jim Carrey movies when I was younger. I hated Jim Carrey movies, and she insisted. And we had like one of those kind of like, maybe we're going to break up kind of moments before we went and saw this, and it was like the relationship isn't really working. We're honestly, she kind of and I know she's watching, so no offense, but we kind of irritated each other. I think it was more of that like Sam and Diane, like the true Sam and Diane chemistry, where they're kind of like just kind of fighting, and people that watch them don't think it's cute and think it's kind of obnoxious. And then we made up and we thought, okay, let's go see a movie, and she's like, no, we're going to see this. And the whole time she's laughing, and the whole time I'm just fuming. I'm like, I'm hating this movie. I cannot wait for this to be over so we can leave this place and then I can break up with her. There is no future for this relationship, and it has never been more clear than sitting here watching Jim Carrey lift his butt cheeks and run around in this horrible movie that I blocked most of it out. It's the most angry I think I've ever been watching a comedy film. And it was 100% my fault. The whole thing was dumb on me, and I knew this wasn't my kind of thing, and I still went, and the relationship was not in a good place to see a Jim Carrey movie. So be careful about comedies if you're in a new relationship. Make sure that you guys have similar compatibility on your humor. But this one will forever remind me of that impending doom of breakup.
That's good advice, Charlie. Good advice.
We became friends later, so we're tight.
You didn't think any of this movie was funny?
No. And no offense, like I should probably maybe I should rewatch them or something. But I just had like a block against Jim Carrey in the '90s, where just whatever he did irritated me. The Mask, all the Ace Ventura stuff. I just it just wasn't for me. And no judgment against people that liked it. It just wasn't for me at that point in time in my life. Jim Carrey and I have made up. We're friends.
Hey, Sonic, man, he's great in Sonic. Yeah, this one I didn't care for this one.
I didn't care for this one. Yeah.
I remember liking the first one some, but I don't know if it would hold up.
That was great. Dumb and Dumber surprised me.
Oh, I hated Dumb and Dumber so much. I hated it so much. And not that it's a bad movie; it's a fine movie. It's just where I was at in my life when that came out. And you know what? I blame the people that walked around and would bend over and they'd spread their cheeks to talk, and they were just so obnoxious in the quoting and like the.
That makes sense.
And my gosh, I couldn't. They ruined it.
Yes,
for poor old Jimmy.
I agree. The Jim Carrey impersonators ruined Jim Carrey. Yeah. He was great.
All right, what's your number
in
one,
Living
Bro?
Color, though.
Yeah.
All right.
Bro's number one.
I'm
My
getting
number one.
angry just thinking about it. We got
Okay.
We got
All right. We're moving on. My number one was the first one that came to mind. Okay. This movie, which I'll go ahead and go there. Constantine. This movie almost cost me and Amy our relationship before we even started dating. There is in an alternate universe, Amy and I did not end up together because of Constantine. Because we had just started kind of dating. Like, we're not even boyfriend girlfriend, there's no relationship, we're just dating. And this movie had just come on to DVD. And I saw it in theaters and I liked it, and I was like, oh, I gotta show you this movie. It's really cool, based on a comic book and all this stuff. We didn't get through 5 minutes of the movie, and she got up and turned it off and just pushed eject on the DVD and was like, I'm not watching this. and I remember that night being like, is this the right relationship to be in? And I seriously considered. And luckily I was like, nah, everything else is good. And we continued on, and that was 16 years ago now. But this movie was like, okay. I look back now and I'm like, maybe not a good idea. And so that's that.
Now,
What?
Oh, I was just gonna ask if she's watched it yet. Because if not, this is a good anniversary idea. Next anniversary, you get her some flowers, a little bit of wine. You sit her down on the couch and you pop in Constantine. You say, "All right, let's do this."
I think years later we might have watched it. I don't really remember. But so Charlie has been saying, know your partner, stuff like this. This is like that exact case. I really like this movie. I'm sure there's a lot of people that really like this movie.
Did she say why she didn't like it?
It was the opening scene where there's the demon trying to come out of the mirror into the little girl, and so all this stuff, and there
was all sorts of Christianity and all, it was very holy. It's not like he was
the demonic stuff, she was just like, I have zero interest in watching this.
Sure.
And so
Exorcist then for the next anniversary.
Yeah. So this movie almost ruined my marriage before it started.
Deserving.
I'm so glad. Keanu would feel terrible if he knew that. He's such a nice guy.
But yeah. So this is one exactly like Charlie was saying. Know your partner.
Know your partner.
What are they gonna hate? If they're gonna hate it, don't show it to them. I didn't know. I was young. It was a long time ago. Should have known though. All right. So there you go. There's my number one, Constantine.
Well,
Constantine. All right, Tudong, your number one.
My number one.
I thought about putting this on my list. I almost put this on my list.
Yeah, but see, I would have outranked on this one, bro, because I actually did bring a date to this at the movies. And the funny thing is, I hadn't read the book. I didn't really know a lot about it. I was just like, wow, what is this Christian Bale guy? It seems like an entertaining movie. I'll go watch the movie. American Psycho. How psycho could he be? He was very psycho.
He was very
in that
psycho.
Movie. Wonderful movie. It's odd and very, very graphically violent. And the funny thing was, you'd think that going on a date with a person and taking her to this would kind of I would have understood. When I watched it, I was just like, wow, I didn't expect all of this graphic violence, graphic nudity, graphic all sorts of stuff. And I was just like, well, I hope you don't take this the wrong way. And she didn't take it the wrong way, surprisingly. Or maybe she did. It was a different way. But either way, I'm not in that relationship anymore. Not to say that this was a red flag, because I don't think, that's kind of a thing. I was very surprised that there wasn't a a strong reaction to it. Later on, she kind of joked about there being a strong reaction, and I was like, well, there wasn't that strong of a reaction because, like, I don't know, but that's the kind of movie that I actually have an experience, and I was shocked when I went to see it. And I was like, I need to do more research if I'm going to take a date to a movie. And that really is the whole thing, the crux of my lesson here today, folks, is that know what movie you're going to go and see. Know your partner, absolutely. But then know your movie, because I had no clue that this was coming up. Oh. Sheesh. Very, very excellent movie, but graphic.
But Dylan, do you like Phil Collins?
No, but I like Whitney Houston. I think it's a fantastic movie. I read the book, I watched the movie, and it's very well made, except for the end. They didn't convey that too well, but unbelievably well done. Charlie hates this. Unbelievable.
Can I tell a quick American Psycho story?
Yes.
A real quick one. I'll be fast.
Don't pin that on me.
I'll be real fast. So when this came into theaters, Charlie had a girlfriend that I didn't like, and I was living with Charlie, and I didn't like her, and Charlie knew it, and I tried to warn him. He didn't marry her, and I remember
never said one thing about her to me until after.
Baloney.
Never tried to help me.
Baloney. And so this a commercial for this came on the TV as we were all sitting in Charlie's room watching it, and I remember she said, "What kind of person would go to see this movie?" And I was like, well, I want to see it, and I think I went and saw it like a day later or something like that. Just so I could say, oh yeah, it was a great movie. It was great.
If this is the one I think that you're talking about, Brode, then this is the one that couldn't stand me at all. And you should have said Tudong would see this.
So, there's my quick story. All right. Charlie, your number one.
My number one was Titanic. Now, I will say that if you're going to take your partner to see a movie, be careful if it's a sad movie, because sad can affect lots of people in lots of different ways. I saw this, so this movie was out in theaters, and then it was like gone, and then I think it got like re-released because it had made so much money and was like Academy Awards or something like that.
Just like
anyway, I'd escaped seeing it in theaters, and I was feeling pretty good about myself. I was like dancing through the raindrops and had avoided it because I just had no interest in it. But I was dating a girl. I think the girl that didn't care for American Psycho, as a matter of fact. I don't know. It kind of, there's a blur of that time together of girlfriends that Brody hated. So
there was more
hard to say for sure. Anyway, I should have listened to Brody. But so we go see this in the theaters, and look, this is this was at a time before before everybody had all the same kind of like clever takes on things. So I've got like hey, why is he just floating on a piece of wood here? Why there's like debris everywhere? Why can't he get on a piece? It's like shut up. It's hard for me to like to not make those kind of comments.
The girl
I'm with, because I like the whole movie. I can't get into it. I'm like, I wonder if the boat's gonna sink. That would be horrible, right? What's gonna happen? And she's shut up. It's like all this. So just all this stuff, like oh, it's so romantic. They've known each other for like a day. Oh gosh, So then he's just dying there in the water, and he's turning to ice. And this is the scene where he's like on the. I've got like a box of jujubes, and like you could hear a pin drop in the movie theater because he's like he's like freezing to death because she refuses to let him on the wood, and he refuses to find other debris to float on. And I tilt my box of jujubes, and you can just hear the jujubes roll through the box. And now I'm stuck because I'm aware of how loud this was because they were like clumped together and then all came loose.
Oh man!
But I can't hold the jujubes box in my mouth forever, so I re-release, and she's just daggers staring, tears, just tears.
Oh man!
I mean, like she's rivers, like her blouse is soaked from all the crying. So. A couple of days later, I get a call. She's going to a different college than me, and she's like, I'm thinking about Titanic, and I'm worried about you dying. and I need you to drive up here right now.
That's fantastic.
She's like, I can't sleep. You're gonna die, and I need you. So I have to drive like an hour to get to her school.
Oh man.
Which doesn't allow for boys to be in her dorm. So I've gotta come and sit in her lobby and wait for her to come down and like just like comfort her in a public lobby of a building because we watched Titanic and it made her too sad and she was worried that I was gonna die. And I'm like, the only way I'm gonna die is when I'm driving home at like 1 a.m, so tired from having driven up here to see you. That's when I'm gonna die. And then she bought it on she bought it on like DVD and wanted to watch it again, and I was like, no, please. And she watched it without me, and she's calling like this was like the perfect analogy of our relationship, and it hit an iceberg, and it was just but every time she watched it, she would call me weeping, and I was just if you're gonna watch a sad movie, just maybe I don't know. There's no advice here. Just don't watch Titanic. It's a terrible movie.
I would like to
don't watch sad movies on dates.
I'd like this one, folks. I would like to say, first off, know your partner. If it's like this, but this is an aberration right here. This doesn't make any sense.
I did not know. I did not know, by the way, that this was connected.
Usually, folks. Usually, you go to the movie theater and you've got a date to, your significant other, whoever it is, and they get really emotional because they're seeing Leo DiCaprio and he's really cold and all that kind of stuff. That's terrible. I don't want to die. You should comfort me too. I don't want to be cold tonight. It's a good thing.
I'm the one sinking to the bottom of the ocean here in this story.
If you're sarcastic about it, it's not going to be so good.
Oh, come on.
If you're going to go to a sad movie, you got to leave your sarcasm at the door and be like, significant other, not only am I comforting you, but you should comfort me too.
Yeah.
And there you go. In fact, a good date movie. But if you can't leave your sarcasm at the door, folks, don't do this movie. No sad movies.
So, Charlie, what he's saying is that it's all your fault.
No.
I'm cleaning that.
No. I said that she's the aberration. She should have been more like, wow, let me comfort you right now. And you're like, this is a terrible movie. Anything to get my mind off it.
I've got like 4 or 5. I had to pick my sad movie because I've got like 4 or 5 stories of watching sad movies on dates, and all of them were horrible, just horrible decisions to watch. It's too if the movie's too sad, there's no going back. Like if you're even in a marriage, if the movie's too sad, it's too sad. Like there's no date like afterglow after you watch like I don't know Hotel Rwanda. You're not going home and going like, hey, let's turn the lights down a little bit, huh? Let's put some candles on.
Now, you see, my the one I was gonna almost put on there was gonna be what is it? Eraserhead. See, yours is Hotel Rwanda. My honorable mention, Eraserhead. Don't watch that on a date because it is.
Don't watch Eraserhead.
It's worse than Mulholland Drive.
Worse than Mulholland Drive, but not as bad as Hotel Rwanda.
Schindler's List, baby.
I will just say that I love this poster because at the top it says from the director of Aliens, T2, and True Lies. like
that's
who are you marketing this to?
The funny thing is, it totally worked. Somehow that worked.
It worked.
Totally worked.
That's how you get the guys in, though, bro. See,
you gotta
the machismo or machisma. You gotta. They're like, I want to see. Let's see some T2 here.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. There is the top 9 movies that you should not watch on a date. Know your partner. Come on. These are our mistakes. Learn from our mistakes.
Learn from our mistakes.
Yes. Learn from our mistakes.
All right, guys. You have anything else to add? No. All right.
It was fun. It's always fun to reminisce.
It is.
Hey, if you're out there and you've seen some doozies, like either you've been the shower or the showee, let us know in the comments. What's the worst movie you've ever watched with someone on a date? We'd love to hear from you. We can all kind of commiserate together for the mistakes that we've made in our life. And if you like this, click on below for some more videos and make sure you hit like and subscribe so you know when our new content drops. And we'll see you next week.
We'll see you guys later.
Adios.
Adios.